Doctor Who is saved. We're definitely getting a third season, according to an exclusive insider talking to the Daily Mail here in the UK. But is it true? What is the reality? I'm going to talk about the possibility of a third season of Doctor Who with Ncuti Gatwa, with Russell T Davies, with Disney. What is the reality? Welcome to the Tachyon Pulse podcast.
Our Tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.
So let's just break this down and tell you where we're at right now with Disney, Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa, etc., and the third season of this new type of Doctor Who. Well, an insider has spoken to the Daily Mail here in the UK, or the Mirror, one of them, and they basically had a statement and they said, look, the expectation is, from the crew, etc., that there will be a third season of Doctor Who, and that it doesn't matter if Disney are going to be involved or not, because actually the bulk of the money from Disney went on the special effects, so without Disney it really won't affect production as much as fans think. Now, the important word there was expectations, because there has been no decision made by the BBC, Bad Wolf, Disney, etc. about Doctor Who and the third season. The reality is that the BBC are really, really unlikely to pay. They will not pay the current budget for Doctor Who. There would have to be a significant decrease. Currently, the BBC only pay about 30% of the production costs for Doctor Who. And I'm sorry, this insider is actually incorrect, because the special effects, etc., average around 30% of the costs per episode of Doctor Who. The BBC only pay 30%, Disney are paying 70%. So, really, it's the BBC that are covering the CGI costs, not Disney. So, you would have to see a significant decrease in budget if the BBC aren't willing to really invest in Doctor Who if Disney pull out. I'm being told that the reality is that the BBC, if Disney do pull out, will look for another partner. They will look for that international partner, somebody that will show this Doctor Who all over the world. It's still very popular in America, etc. My understanding is that Bad Wolf, that is owned by Sony, have already spoken to Amazon, and that is very likely the way that the BBC will get a third season made. They're very, very unlikely to pay for it themselves, and this source is just wrong or pie in the sky if he or she thinks that the BBC are going to pay for this on their own. They're not. But what is Disney's position? Well, Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwa's job are very, very strongly linked to Disney. Now, a lot of people have said that Russell T Davies has been fired, he's gone, he's out. Now, I've never actually said that, even though I've been accused of it once or twice. What I said was Disney want him gone. They are not happy with the way the show's gone, and at the end of the day, they blame Russell T Davies for it. I have told you guys repeatedly that Disney, particularly over the last 12 months or so, have suddenly realised that they've got a bit of a problem when it comes to woke, and that they're accused of it. Pretty much everything they released, somebody will shout, "That's woke," at it, and they want to get rid of that label that really they gave themselves with some very, very poor creative decisions over the last few years. Doctor Who really is an example of that, and that people are yelling woke, woke, woke at this show. And to be honest, I used to love Doctor Who, but I have got a problem with the current iteration. It is too preachy even for me, and I'm somebody that hates the word woke. I think it's ridiculous. I am a liberal. I do believe in, trans rights and gay rights, etc. But even on there going, alright, come on, that's enough now, move on. I am not a big fan of lots of things they've done with the current Doctor Who iteration, but mainly I just think it's badly written and kind of boring. And I know big Doctor Who fans that are basically saying the same thing. Now, Disney want to get away from that, and they were putting pressure on the BBC and Bad Wolf over a year ago to remove Russell T Davies. I'm going to talk about how that would affect Ncuti Gatwa in a minute, but to remove Russell T Davies and put in another showrunner. As I told you at the time, though, my understanding is that BBC and Bad Wolf have always defended Russell T Davies and said that he is their man. He is the man that they think can take Doctor Who to the next level. If the BBC were to decide to fund this themselves, Russell T Davies is very likely to keep his job. So how would this affect Ncuti Gatwa? Again, anybody that believes that Ncuti Gatwa is definitely going to be doing season 3, I'm sorry, you are incorrect. My understanding is, and I am pretty certain on this, to be honest, as certain as I could be without actually physically being there myself, that they have filmed a regeneration sequence. That the final episode has basically currently got 2 endings. One, where Ncuti Gatwa's character, his doctor, dies and merges into something. And then there is another one where he doesn't, he's victorious, and we could see Ncuti Gatwa in the 3rd season of Doctor Who. They basically film both. Why? Even at that point, Russell T Davies was thinking that he might not do the 3rd season, even though he was already well on his way of writing the 3rd season. Ncuti Gatwa was always very clear, I'm told, that he would only be doing it if Russell T Davies was still in charge. That he only did Doctor Who in the first place because of Russell T Davies. So, if Russell T Davies goes, Ncuti Gatwa goes. Now, apparently Ncuti Gatwa is really interested in moving to LA. He's got a couple of other projects on the go. He wants to potentially push on with a movie career. But he will return for Doctor Who, and he will make it work if Russell T Davies is still in charge. So, they've written a 3rd season. They're moving forwards with it. It's Russell T Davies and his writing team that have written this 3rd season. So that means it's got to be a go, right? No, it doesn't. If a new showrunner comes in, it is very likely that the BBC and Bad Wolf will scrap what's been written up to this point. That Russell T Davies and his team started writing this 3rd season of Doctor Who well over a year ago, remembering that the 2nd season finished filming well over a year ago. That at that point, the assumption was that Disney would renew the deal and that they would be able to continue along their current path. But over the last 12 months, that has changed significantly. And we're now in a position where they may just scrap what's been written. I look at things like Daredevil in the last 12 months, Daredevil Reborn. Disney had even started filming that, and they still scrapped it when they decided to go in a different direction. They wouldn't be afraid to do that with Disney. So just because scripts have been written doesn't mean a damn thing. I actually suspect there is now a plan in place. And speaking to the people I get to speak to, and at least one of those sources I get to speak to works on Doctor Who, they are one of the crew. They are telling me that they don't know what's going on. They have these expectations because Russell T Davies told us this over a year ago. And to be honest, nothing this source that's come out with in the last week, talking to a national newspaper in the UK, has said anything that Russell T Davies didn't say well over a year ago. I'm going to reiterate, the reality is Disney have not told the BBC what they're going to do. The contract that's in place allows it to be extended without any further negotiation. All they need to do is trigger that element of the contract, but they haven't done so. Ncuti Gatwa's contract, basically he was signed up for 2 seasons. It allows them to do a 3rd season, but both parties need to agree. The BBC need to want him, or Bad Wolf need to want him, and Ncuti Gatwa needs to agree. Either of those 2 things happen, Ncuti Gatwa is gone. Russell T Davies is apparently contracted, but again, he can be removed if another showrunner were to come in. I believe he would go on as an executive producer or something, but he would not be the showrunner anymore. And if Disney do sign a deal with the BBC and Bad Wolf, he definitely won't be. That is where we're at the moment. Until Disney make a decision, nothing else really can be arranged or finalised. And that is just the reality of the situation. So if you are a big Doctor Who fan and you take loads of confidence from this news report, I wouldn't. there are a lot of if, buts, and maybes, and there is a massive reality check here to be had. This show is struggling. This show is quite expensive. Far more expensive than the BBC can afford on its own. And even if it does continue without Disney, they are going to need another partner. And that other partner might have a few provisos of their own when negotiating the contract. So, we're still a long way from there definitely being a third season of Doctor Who in 2027. I actually think Doctor Who will never go away. I actually think it will return at some point, probably relatively quickly. But I do think that there is going to be a significant gap, and it may be more than just the 2 years this insider has suggested. But guys, go in the comments and tell me what you think. Again, nothing I've said in this video, to be honest, is kind of conjecture. It is just how it is. But get into the comments and tell me what you think. Does this show need a break? I think it possibly does. And should there be a new Doctor? There's lots of rumours, but nothing that's been confirmed. Again, see my video yesterday about Billy Piper. Not a rumour, I believe, personally. But get into the comments and tell us exactly what you think. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. It really helps us out, and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can become a member of the channel and get to see a lot of our videos up to 24 hours before everybody else. That can't be bad. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
Our tachyon pulse has been unable to completely penetrate the anomaly.